Well, that police sergeant is in ICU on life support tonight. Sergeant Isaac Carrington is a husband and a father who has served with the Baltimore police for more than 2 decades. WJZ has extensive team coverage of the violent encounter. We begin with investigator Mike Helgren. He is live at Shock Trauma with a new reward for information tonight. Mike?
Denise, the ATF just announced a $19,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in this shooting. We have seen police officers from around the state here at Shock Trauma to show their support. The sergeant went through a terrifying ordeal, chased by a masked gunman and gunned down in his own neighborhood just before 3:30 this afternoon. 43-year-old Baltimore Police Sergeant Isaac Carrington is on life support after being shot several times.
Invo 32 EMS 4 response officer 54-50 Summerfield Avenue and Todd Avenue for a report of a shooting.
He was off duty chatting with a neighbor on his front lawn on Summerfield Avenue in northeast Baltimore when at least one armed, masked man jumped out of an Acura to rob them.
The neighbor threw what items of value he had to the ground and then began running. Sergeant Carrington began running in the opposite direction. The gunman gave chase and shot Sergeant Carrington multiple times.
Mayor Jack Young pleaded with the community for help.
I'm begging and pleading with you now that we need you to step up, and we need those who are responsible for these type of crimes in the city of Baltimore to be held to the strictest penalty possible.
Governor Larry Hogan tweeted, "Thoughts and prayers alone are not enough. We've been pushing to get these violent shooters off the streets." In an interview just hours before the shooting, he advocated for tougher sentencing laws.
That's really going to have an impact on those repeat shooters. There's a lot of gang violence in the drug trade, and that's the law we really need next. We've already got all the other laws on the books, and it hasn't stopped.
Sergeant Carrington has served with the Baltimore City Police Department for 22 years.
If things like these keep happening, I doubt if our police officers want to live here. So we can do better, Baltimore, and I'm counting on you to do better.
And Sergeant Carrington is the second Baltimore police sergeant shot in less than a month and the 4th Baltimore City Police Department employee to fall victim to violent crime in that time period. If you know anything about what happened today, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. You can remain anonymous, and remember, there is that $19,000 reward. Live at Shock Trauma, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
Thank you, Mike. Well, as we mentioned, Sergeant Carrington was shot multiple times and is currently in the ICU on life support. Rachel Menatoff has more on his condition tonight. Rachel?
Denise, when Sergeant Carrington arrived here at Shock Trauma, he was conscious and alert, but according to his doctors, he was, quote, quite unstable. Since then, his doctors tell us he's had 1 operation and is somewhat stabilized tonight. Moments after the shooting on Summerfield Avenue, paramedics answered the 911 call and performed a rapid assessment and transport.
We were also able to get the victim off the scene within a minute.
Sergeant Isaac Carrington was transported to Shock Trauma just before 4 o'clock Thursday. He had multiple gunshot wounds to his torso and extremities. Dr. Thomas Scalia, who heads the trauma center, spoke with a heavy heart about yet another police officer who is now his patient.
It's been that long since we did this, and it's really very, very discouraging to be back here to have a similar conversation.
Dr. Scalia says initially Sergeant Carrington was unstable.
Great pre-hospital job to get him to us in a very rapid amount of time to give us really a shot at this.
Sergeant Carrington was rushed into his first operative procedure and from there was taken to the ICU and placed on life support. Dr. Scalia describes his current condition as, quote, slightly more stable. The next step is to run more tests to determine what, if any, other injuries are going to require additional treatment or therapy.
We're going to continue to do the absolute best we can to get him back to his family and his community in as good a shape as possible, as quickly as possible.
Dr. Scalia thanked his team here at Shock Trauma for bringing their A game. He tells us that he's hopeful, but that Sergeant Carrington will have a long road to recovery. We're live downtown tonight. I'm Rachel Menatoff for WJZ.